everybody.
Hi.
All right, so today we are talking small instruments. I currently am in front of the Discovery 3, and I am at Sun City Center today with Joni and a bunch of her wonderful students, so I am very excited. We've got more people coming in. Hello. Um, so I assume most people on this class have a smaller instrument, either a Discovery 3, an Easy 4, a Freedom 3, an Easy 10. You might even have a Fanfare or a Journey. And even if you have an instrument bigger than one of those today, you will still be able to pick up, hopefully, on a couple tricks of just some of the essentials that all these instruments have. And if you have something bigger, you've still got these features. So let me get my setup. And one thing that I wanted to talk about today, to start off, we'll start off with a song, but I wanted to make sure that everyone knows that you have more than just one introduction on your instrument. If you have a Intro 1 and Intro 2 on the bigger instruments, you obviously know you have more. But did you know that even on the Discovery 3, each background has two different types of introductions and endings? If you use a minor chord, you can get a different introduction. So here's the country introduction you might be used to.
1, 2.
So today, here is the introduction I'm going to be using. And later this week at Osprey, I'm going to be teaching a lecture on all the awesome things about Dolly Parton. So I figured I'd start off today with one of her most famous songs where you get to hear the minor introduction.
1, 2.
Get that minor ending as well so you can hear that. Thank you. And thanks to our in-house audience who's getting a little bit of the behind the scenes on what it takes to do some of this stuff. We could barely hear what I was playing in the room, so I hope everyone online could hear that really well. But yeah, if you did not know, every single background on every single instrument has a different introduction and ending if you play a minor chord. So go home and try that on some of your favorite ones. If you said, I've heard this introduction a million times, try a minor chord. There's also ways that you can incorporate that minor chord introduction or ending with a song that goes right into a major chord. So if you want help practicing that, just ask your teacher and they will be very happy to show you how you can do that. All right, so some of the other things that I wanted to talk about today, and we're just going to start on the Discovery 3. Everybody on every single instrument has an easy button. And I think for the most part, everyone knows what that easy button does. Now, it takes a single note, or two notes if we're playing a minor chord, and it fills in the rest of the chord for us. It's super smart, which we're very thankful for, But on every instrument, you can control the sound in that easy button. So right now I have taken off all of my backgrounds, my music styles, my rhythms, whatever you might call them, and I just have my easy button active. On the Discovery 3, this little section called left over here, where we've got options for organs, strings, organ and strings, and piano, is going to control what sound is coming out of our easy button. So let's find something pretty. Here, we'll do the strings section, and I'll put some strings over in my right hand too. And we'll do a little bit of a slow, pretty version of a Beatles song. Maybe. Here, I'll let you hear some of these sounds. So that's our strings. Hopefully everyone can hear that. Here's our piano sound. And let's listen to our organ and strings too. So you don't always have to be playing with one of the music styles. I love recommending using just the easy button for practicing while you're getting a bunch of notes under your fingers all at once. You might want to start with just the easy button so that you can take your time, speed up and slow down at your own pace. On the parts that might be easier for you, you can go faster, and on the parts that are harder for you, you can take it a little bit slower. Or you can just make a really beautiful arrangement using these buttons. That way you don't have to feel pushed by the background when you're still practicing a song, or, you know, as we get more features, which will I get to talk about that as we go up? As you get more features on larger instruments, there's stuff like golden harp too that plays right into the easy button, and that can make some really beautiful arrangements where you can still speed up and slow down at your desire. So let's talk another button that the Discovery 3 has, and every single one of you has. The fill-in button. So with fill-in, does everybody know what fill-in does? If you don't know, chime in now. I'll answer. But it makes your band do something extra. Maybe we have a long period of time in our music where there's rests and just our chords might be changing, or maybe our chord doesn't even change, and we're going to want to add something extra. We're going to want to fill in that space. That is what our fill-in button is good for. I know all of my students really start learning how to use that fill on the song Marianne, because there's those long stretches of not a lot happening. Here, I'm going to go back to another Conductor Magic song where I love showing off how we can utilize that fill with what it does with the song. And some of you in here might have heard me using it for sound check. Use my introduction.
1, 2.
Here's my fill. Fill again. And my ending. And even the most simplest songs, we can just add little things to it to give it that much more life, play along with our background, and have a ton of fun with our arrangements. So we sound like $1 million to whoever's listening to us. One more thing that I think is really cool about the Discovery 3 is it's a very small but mighty instrument. So we can always create our own sounds. On the Discovery 3, with our auto setup button, no matter what background I pick, it's going to pick a really good sound for me. Country gets electric guitar. My mellow has a piano and strings blend. And that's a good place to point out, we can blend whatever sounds we want together. On the Discovery 3, we can also add anything from our little organs section over here. So if I want to take a crazy concoction of sounds, if I want to take jazz guitar and vibraphone and sweet organ, I can put all those together. Or I can put together a horn section and put my trumpet and my trombone together. So I've got all these different options. And then as we get to the bigger instruments, we just get more options that we can add. So I'm going to switch over to, I have a Freedom 3 over here with me today. And I'm going to have Andrew help me move my camera. Switch over to here. So some of the things that get added when we get into a larger instrument are more ways to do the things that we were just talking about on the Discovery 3. So the Freedom 3 is the big brother to the Discovery 3. So all the buttons are in the same place here. I don't know if the camera can see that right now. Awesome. So I've still got my fill-in button. I've still got my intro end. I've still got my lower section over here. All my blue buttons with all my backing bands are right here where they were. All of my sounds that I can mix and match. But we've added a couple other really cool things. So what you can't see right now is my foot is in a volume pedal. So I can control my volume as I play. If I go gas forward, I'm going to get louder. If I go gas backward, I'll get quieter. Now I can't do that today because I don't want you guys to lose what you're hearing. But on the right and left sides of my foot, I have to the right, my fill-in. To the left, my glide or sustain. Now, what the glide and sustain does is certain instruments can sustain. A piano has a sustain pedal, and it can take that to this. Holds out the note for us so we can play a more delicate sound, less choppy. So if you feel like you have choppy playing, this is a great way to practice with it so you can hold those notes out for longer. And not, it's a great tool to have. Now that doubles, if I go to something like a clarinet that can bend, it bends my note down, gets some of those notes between the notes. And some of the most famous singers that we all know and love were really good about bending those notes while they sang. Since the Freedom 3 has a background on it called Country Love, and one of the most famous singers of all time, Patsy Cline, was so good at gliding, this is one of my favorite songs to have people practice their glide with. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start my glide, I'm going to push my foot to the left, I'm going to hold down my note, and then I'm going to release my foot, and it sounds really nice. To the left. So we've got the glide on the foot now and the fill on the foot. So all the times that I came up and pressed my button, I can also just push my foot to the right, and I don't have to be hands on with my fill. I can just concentrate on my hands being on the keyboard. So I was saying that we keep getting more options as we go up. Something that I've been having a lot of fun playing with is the more options that we can get in our easy button. We talked about how our arrangements can be actually really pretty sometimes, just playing around with what's in lower or left, as some of the instruments call it. On the Freedom 3, each button in our lower section, I can scroll between two different sounds. In Ensemble, where my strings are, I also have an option for choir ooh, which I am a huge fan of on this instrument. I'm going to get myself some string section on the right hand, and I'm going to make sure I have some other choir sounds over here in my vocals. And I wanted to play a little bit of how pretty I think Sound of Music can sound with just your easy button.
Ooh.
My vocal sounds. And that was I don't know if you could hear it on your end, but what I did was I pulled my volume pedal back so I could fade out my easy button, create a little ending for myself. Does anyone have any questions about any of the buttons that we've talked about so far, or anything I haven't talked about yet? You guys can ask questions too. Yeah? Yeah. All right, that's a really good question. Yeah, so the question was, with the glide, when my foot goes to the left, how long does it last? Does it go for a measure like our fill goes for a measure long, or if we hold it longer? The glide actually doesn't have anything to do with the background. It is all based on where you press it and where you release. So my best recommendation is just to get a feel for it. Hold down a note. Like, I love the clarinet for feeling it. I think it sounds really nice. So what I'm going to do, every time you hear the note bend, that's my foot going to the left. Every time you hear it release and go back to its natural state, that's my foot releasing. So I'm just going to hold a note. So that's all manually done. There's no timer on it. So if you want that note to stay glide for longer, just hold your foot down longer. If you want it to be just a tap, that's how long. I just barely tapped it there. So you can kind of hear, yeah, the fill will last one measure unless I hold it down past the measure. We can count how long our measure is going on for based on how fast our lights on our drum volume and tempo are clicking around. So if I start my fill on beat 3 of my little metronome ticker, then it's only going to last till the end of that measure. But if I hold it down over then to beat 1, it's going to keep going even if I release it until the measure ends. So it's never going to end at an awkward spot. It's always going to sound like it's finished what it was doing and just keeps going naturally. It's not going to be abrupt. All right, that was a really good question. Anyone else have any other questions? All right. We got a question on Zoom? All right, Hal, what's your question?
Hello. Where does, I believe, does the intro, is it the last 4 measures of the song?
The introduction, however many measures it lasts, does depend. There are shorter measures and there are longer intros as well. Something that you can do to get a read on how long your introduction is going to be is in your information screen. It'll count you down. It'll say intro playing and then have a number. It'll be ticking down. It could be ticking from 2 or from 5. And that is how many measures you have left of the introduction. So yeah, are you going to get up close on that? So let's do standards and the introduction. Why did that happen? Is there a microphone in the camera? I don't know if anyone online could just hear that, but we just got our socks blown off. All right, here, let's give this another shot. Let me see if I just start this, will it blast us away again? No, I think we're safe. All right. I'm gonna lean this in. Technology is always a blast. All right. All right, so here's our introduction. Intro playing 3, 2, 1, 2, ready, play. So this was only a 3-measure introduction. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, but if you're wondering how many measures of the song you're gonna need, you don't really even need to prepare for how many measures you need for your song because it's going to do its thing, and then you just get ready to do your thing. You can listen to the introduction after you've gotten a little used to where it kicks you in. You can play along with the beginning of it sometimes, and you can absolutely do that with your endings too. I love recommending that people take the last line of their song and find a way to play it again over their ending that they cue up. Get an example of that. Actually, I know the perfect example. No, I'm saying so. The question was about introductions. How many measures do you need to have prepared for your introduction? The answer to that is you don't really need to play over the introduction. Let it do its thing. Don't worry about how long it is, but watch your screen so you're prepared to start your song when it finishes. Then as far as the endings go, you can play over them a lot. And I like just taking the last little phrase. Doesn't even have to be a specific amount of measures because you can stretch certain notes and shorten certain notes to make it fit. But if you take a little melody hook from the end of your song, you can a lot of the time play that over your ending that you press and have the instrument play you out. You can customize it by adding some of the melody notes from your right hand melody over top of that ending. Remember, when you're using endings and introductions, don't change your chord while they happen. Just let them do their thing. All right, so I'm sorry to everyone that I might have gotten a little bit thrown off by our technical difficulties, and I hope I was able to answer that question okay. But
Yes, you did. Thank you.
all right, awesome. If anyone needs clarification, just ask.
Miranda,
Yeah.
on your buttons to the right, your white buttons, when you press them, does the sound come through the melody or through the chords?
The white buttons on the right, are we looking at?
Yes,
This
right there where
is-
your hand is. Yes, right
Yeah.
there. Is that melody or chords?
These are all melody related. So whatever
Okay.
I press over here, I've got a couple options in each button, and that's all what's going to be on in my right hand and on the Freedom specifically for your top keyboard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, right of the screen tends to be right hand stuff. Left of the screen tends to be left hand stuff. There is always an exception to that, but for the most part, that's a good way to consider it. The main two sections, orchestral, right side, right hand, music styles, left side, left hand. That's how I think about
Beautiful.
it.
Beautiful, thank you.
So something cool that the Freedom adds that I want to make sure all of my Freedom owners and anyone that has this button is using is song setup. I hope you're all using your song setup because this makes everything so much easier. I'm going to scroll through here till I find the one I'm looking for because there are a ton of songs in here. Here we go. Song setup, Besame Mucho. That's the one I wanted to play today. All I have to do is hit select when it's on my screen, and I watched everything on the front panel change. It picked a background for me, it set my introduction on, and it picked my right hand sounds. It gave me a blend of two different ones. So let's see how they did. This is another opportunity to use your minor introduction with Besame Mucho. Use my foot pedal. So I don't know if you could tell, but what I just did there was when I used my introduction and ending, I just did what we were talking about. I let my intro do its thing, and I came in when it told me it was time. And then as I hit my ending, once it started, your screen will tell you ending playing. So then all you have to do is listen. I didn't change my chord, and I played a little bit of melody I thought might sound kind of good to finish my song with. So I think that's a really fun way to add some more creativity to your endings. But I also think Song Setup did a really good job. A fun feature that the Freedom 3 has is this button up here underneath our information screen. It's to right of Song Setup on the Freedom called Melody Off. I want to briefly talk about how Melody Off can help us. So in the button Songs, we've got 30 songs in here that are part of the class program. If you are ever having trouble with the right hand, keeping up with it, or just both hands together might be a little much for you on a song right now, the Freedom has an awesome practice tool called Melody Off, where if I select my song to start playing, it'll play. the hard parts of the song that I'm having trouble with. So melody off. Any of the 30 songs in the Freedom, you can practice just the right hand and let the instrument play the left hand for you. Any questions about melody off or anything else? All right, unless Andrew sees that we have a typed up question. So what time is it? Let's move over to our EZ instruments. I have an EZ10 here today. And I'm going to show you a couple cool things that we can do on the EZ10 and on the EZ4. I'll tell you which ones are for only the EZ10 as we go. So since I wanted to make today's workshop a little bit of some of the essential information that if you own one of these instruments, I want you to make sure you know, on the EZ series, so that's the EZ1, the EZ2, the EZ4, and the EZ10. And this one thing I'm about to say actually goes for the fanfare and the journey as well. These instruments have this little section called performer. That's our full band, our pianist, and our guitarist. Each one of those buttons has a different band in it. Your pianist button isn't going to be just a solo piano player because we can add other parts of the band, or it might be a bigger sounding band than you thought it would be. Our guitarist button is guitar-based backgrounds, but not always just a guitarist. So a lot of my students I have talked to, every once in a while you hear someone didn't quite realize that there's a lot more backgrounds in their instrument than they thought they had, because they might only be using full band because they say, well, I want a full band. But our pianist and guitarist can have some pretty full sounding bands in there too. Remember, they never start with drums in them. So if you want a full band but you like your pianist background or your guitarist background for whatever style you're using, make sure to turn up the drummer, because he'll help you get a fuller sound out of your background. Or add him halfway through. You are always welcome to add your drummer anywhere in your song that you want to for arranging. One of my favorite ones to show this off with is over here on the EZ10. I have a pop button. I'm going to use guitarist. It's going to start with no drums, but I'm going to kick them in halfway so you can see combined with my fill-in from my foot. You won't see my hands do anything. Can you hear that? There we go. You can always start a song with no drummer and bring it in partway through and let him play with the rest of the band for the rest of the song. It's a really fun, easy arranging technique that bands use. Not all the time is a song going to start with the drummer in it. So always remember you can utilize him as an arranging tool. I think it sounds pretty cool when you do your fill, bring in the drums. Has a really nice effect. So let's move on. We talked a lot about lower on each instrument just to keep it nice and round on all the information for everything. On the Easy 4 and the Easy 10, our lower section is one of those exceptions to if it's on the right of the information screen, it's probably for your right hand. I have a ton of students that ask me, what are these buttons over here? It says lower, and it has an ensemble, and a more, and a black button called orchestral right to split. Now, our orchestral right to split is kind of a lesson all on its own, but it's a really good tool, and it's what helps control where our sounds in our right hand are going, whether top or bottom keyboard. But right now what I want to focus on is these ensemble and more. So like our Freedom 3 and like our Discovery 3, these are our sounds from our Easy button. And in the lower section, if I go into my ensemble, I've got a bunch of different sounds that I can scroll through. And they are absolutely beautiful. A lot of these sounds, we can be doing so many creative things. So in my more, you know, I can put an acoustic guitarist or a big band ensemble, or I'm just scrolled past calliope. There are a ton of arranging tools that we can use in our lower section there, and they will come out of our Easy button. We can combine them with a music style, or we can play with them by themselves. Here's that calliope sound. It's kind of cool, right? I bet no one has ever used the calliope in their left hand, and you might be listening to this going, I have the reason to use that now. So, you don't discount your lower section. Something else that I kind of touched on in the Freedom 3, that the Freedom 3, the Easy 4, and the Easy 10 have, is a harmony button. I really hope everyone is using their harmonies. In the Easy 10, we have a bunch of really cool options. Octave harmony, that adds the octave of the note we're playing. AOC is the one that tends to confuse people. That means essentially we have the 3 notes of our chord happening there with us. Duet harmony, we got 2. Open harmony means we have a more spread open sound to our harmony. Octave duet, that combines our octave harmony and our duet harmony. Rock harmony, that one's a bit bigger harmony. Don't have to use it just for rock and roll, don't think you do. And as the instruments get the capability for more and more stuff in them, harmony is always one of those things that they're going to keep adding. So always take a look in your harmonies, see what options you have, because there might be one song you want harmony on, but it automatically went to a rock harmony or an AOC harmony, and it's too big and you want something a little lighter. You can always go in there, change that, figure out what you think sounds best. So another thing that the Easy 10 has made a lot easier for us is in my features menu, there's an option for bass pedals. I'm sure you can't see that on my screen from there. The bass pedals, which you also can't see, you can hear though, I really doubt many people are going to be using them for their bass notes. If you are, that's super cool. I know Joni does, and I'm very jealous of her talent on it because I've tried, and I'm a bass player like the one you hold like this, not the kind where you're using your feet. So I would love to play those pedals, but I just haven't been able to dedicate enough time to it yet. So what I do when I'm playing on an instrument that has the capability, I'm going into my bass pedals section, I'm hitting select, and I'm going to change it on the Easy 10. I can change it to glide sustain. So we were talking about if you're bending your note, you're going to move your foot to the left, and it's going to make the sound go lower in pitch, and then when you release to the right, it gets higher in pitch. That can be a bit discombobulating to a lot of people, you know. Your fingers going down on the key and then up on the key, and your foot's going right and then left, and it's a lot to focus on. So what if, on the bass pedals, Go back to my trusty clarinet here so I can show you. Down is down in pitch, up is up in pitch, because I'm going to be using my foot. Now, if you have this feature, you can do it on any bass pedal. Doesn't matter if it's like a black key or a white key. But now I'm going to press my note. I'm going to go down, and it goes down. And I go up, and it goes up. It doesn't matter what pedal I do it on. So much easier. So if anyone here has bass pedals and has trouble with glide, go change your glide to your bass pedals. It'll make everything so much easier. Now, once you get to a fanfare or a journey, you can also put stuff like fill on your bass pedals. So I know I just have some students who have a tricky time with their switches. We've got a solution for that. Let's take some time, do a little song with those. I'm going to my song setup, and I'm going to find Aloha, because I love demonstrating that glide on the feet for this song. I used song setup, but I'm not intending to use an introduction, so remember to turn it off if you're doing what I'm doing. My finger goes down, my finger goes up, my foot goes up. Makes the whole thing a lot simpler. So I hope if you didn't know that you have that option, that you can start using it and make everything a ton more fun. Since we're wrapping up at this point, let's talk about some of the cool stuff that the Easy 10 here has. So we talked about its harmony, we talked about its bass pedals. I haven't talked about one very, very important feature that the Easy 10 has that I think makes this an absolutely stellar instrument, and it's these guys, these 5 black buttons under our information screen. They are called setups, but some of the instruments call these things presets. Some of them, they're not called sounds, no. So what these do, they change their sounds. The right hand sounds specifically. If you have top and bottom keyboard right hand play, they'll change both of those. So let's find something fun to change a bunch of sounds in maybe a really kind of fast song that I wouldn't have the opportunity to go up here and scroll through different things. With my setups, they've picked in this instrument 5, but really 10, because we have 5 on the top keyboard, 5 on the bottom keyboard. So I'm going to have 10 different sounds to play around with while changing them really quickly and keeping my song interesting. Use an introduction. I don't know if you could see every time I switched sounds. Well, not every time. Sometimes I switched my keyboards. But I was able to, in the span of a very short song, use about 5 or 6 different sounds and not work very hard while I did it. Why I like doing that? Well, it's fun for me. I hope it's more fun for you and all of you. You get to keep hearing something new and interesting. And as we go, we keep it interesting. It's fun. We like changing sounds. Another cool feature here, I'll play one of my absolute favorite songs to show this off with. The fake it button. Make sure it's not on unless you're trying to use it, or else your melody will not sound right. But talking about fun things to use, this one's fun. I'm gonna go over to my ballad, my not rock ballad, my 50s rock guitar. So rock guitarist on my Easy 10. Make sure fake it is not on yet. This is a guitarist button, so I'm turning my drums up. Hold down my fill for a minute. Come over here, turn on my fake it. Fill again, turn it off. So I know I have a lot more fun with my song when I play with my fake it, take a little solo, especially on those rock and roll songs. I can't help taking a fake it solo anytime I play a rock and roll song. All right, does anyone have any questions? We're almost at an hour, so I want to answer any questions anyone might have before we wrap up. Yeah. Well, thank you, Melissa. All right, so I think
Al raised his hand.
we got a hand raised.
I did, Miranda. Oh,
All right, well, if we're waiting on Hal, I'm going to answer the question I had back here, which is how long have I been doing this? I have been playing on these instruments, and I learned how to do this just like all of you do. I've been doing this for about 3 years now.
Oh, I thought it was 50 minutes.
I would hope I sound a little better than
You've
someone
been doing
that's
it for the
only been
last
doing
50
it.
minutes.
why is this,
I had a question of how long have I been playing from our studio audience?
Oh, you mean in your life, not today.
Yes, in my life, not today.
Hal, what's your question?
All right, Robert. Wait a minute. On song setup, Miranda,
Yeah.
when the organ picks the song setup for you, are
Mhm.
you locked in to use that if you don't like what what it came up with for you?
Absolutely not. No. So song setups are simply suggestions. If you don't know where to start, song setup is a great place to start. It'll give you a little push in the right direction. But if
Mhm.
it's not exactly what you were looking for, you are not tied to it in any way, shape, or form. Something really cool that we can do actually, as I was talking about how when the instruments get more features, there's just more and more stuff in there to help us out. I'm not going to be able to talk about it today, but on the Fanfare and the Journey, they start having an ability basically to make our own song setups.
Mhm.
So if you don't like your song setup, you can just, or the one it comes with, I mean, you can make your own. Pick out your favorite background, pair it with your favorite sound, cue up its introduction or not, depending on what you do. Even set its transposer the way you like it,
Mhm.
because this is a hobby about customization and making things sound exactly how you want them. Andrew next to me said sometimes he'll use everything in a song setup except change the clarinet to a trombone. It can be one change, it can be I don't like the whole thing and I'm doing it myself. So we're here to give you the tools to make every song sound exactly how you want it to sound.
Okay.
Any more questions? That was a really good question. Thank you, Hal. All right, I think we're all set. So, Robert, did you have anything to say before I go into my
Sure,
finale song?
you gonna play a song before you finish?
I'll play a song right before we're done.
Okay,
Little
so
grand
yeah, I
finale.
just want a quick look, announcement. Actually, this is my 30-second commercial. So on last Friday, I put this out there and I've had a lot of people send me emails saying they didn't have enough time, they didn't see the email. So I had this little special 72-hour flash sale offering the very best organs at pennies on a dollar savings, save up to 63% off all in stock, and then save even more. We take anything on trade. So if you got an old table, couch you need to trade in to make room for your next organ, or it could be a pen or a pair of shoes, computer, books, we put them all to use. I don't wear them, but we donate stuff and what have you. And so I'm going to extend this another 2 days, 48 hours. So if you didn't have time or didn't see the email until the last day, that is extended, and get with your PA on the details, because we're making some really great deals, and great deals means your next organ you're just going to have a lot more fun. So with that said, Miranda, take it away.
All right, thank you, Robert. And here, I think it worked out very well. The song I had planned to finish on today fits your pennies on the dollar pricing. I'll be playing Penny Lane today by the Beatles. We didn't plan this, I promise. All right. right, thank you. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Any questions that might be left, feel free to shoot an email over to 5049@fletchermusic.com. That goes straight to myself, and I can answer any questions that, if you thought of any after the fact, I'm still here for you. But thank you all for coming. Have a great rest of your day. And I think we're about to start the party for real here at Sun City.
Thank you. Bye.
Robert, if you can hear me, we can't shut the meeting down from our end.